Welcome back to the 4911 CyberKnights software training series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Phoenix Tuner X app. It's a very powerful application, and we're only going to kind of scratch the surface today. When you launch the app, unless you're already connected to a robot, you'll have to decide how you want to connect. I'm going to connect through a USB, and so I'm going to connect a cable to my computer and to the robot. Make sure to use a USB B cable like this one. Plug it into the port on your RoboRio. Make sure when you're connecting via USB that this option down here at the bottom is on RoboRio USB. You can connect through driver station, but I found that to be a little bit flakier than just using a USB cable, so prefer that option. If you have recently updated your RoboRio, or if it's fresh and has no code on it, you may need to do a special option that I'm going to show you how to do right now. It'll say no devices detected, and it'll say that you need to deploy a robot program or do what I'm going to do. Go into the settings and go to FRC Advanced and run temporary diagnostic server. By default, the devices list should refresh automatically. If you don't see any devices, you can manually click this refresh button up here. You can see in this particular robot that we have a bunch of these Talon SRX motor controllers and a PDP. The PDP is highlighted in green, meaning that there's nothing to update, or it is up to date. In fact, yeah, you can see that the hardware version is already up to date. Anything that's highlighted in yellow means that there's a new firmware version available. In fact, you can see that right here in this message. You can either select the device and run the firmware updater here. You can check the device and update the firmware here. Or if you have one device selected and you want to update all of them, click the little double check mark and it will select all of the similar devices, so all the Talon SRXs or whatever it is you have selected, and then you can do a bulk update of the firmware. So we'll update to latest, and it should go through all 14 of these devices one by one. And you can see that all 14 devices were updated. Now, one interesting thing here is that you can see that these devices all have different IDs. So the IDs are on the tiles right here, where they start at 0 and then 1, 2, and so on and so forth until you get to 13, although it's hard to see on this one. Now, when you're setting IDs of devices, it's important that each device has its own ID, because in the code, in the robot code, that's how you know, that's how you can tell one from another. If you want to control one of these motor controllers and not the others, you need to supply the ID that matches the motor controller, the ID that is assigned here. I would say, contrary to how this robot is set up, avoid using ID 0. The reason why is that when you put a new device in your system, when you hook it up to the robot, it will, from the factory, generally have an ID of 0. And so it can be a little confusing. If you already have a device on the robot that is ID 0, then they start to conflict with each other, and you've got to figure out which is which. And so if you have a device that's actually set up for a purpose, you can set the ID number here, and you can even give it a friendly label here. You can say like elevator controller 1 or something like that. If you're having difficulty telling which device is which, and that happens very often, especially when you're just hooking up all the devices to the robot for the first time, This option right here is very helpful, this blink option. If you click it, for a few moments, the device on the robot will be flashing. And if you have a partner at the robot, or if you jump to it quickly, you can see which device on the robot is flashing, and then you can determine what ID belongs to that device and what label it should have, so that you're not so confused about this in the future. Now here you can see I am connecting to a new robot. This robot actually has, because it's newer, it has newer devices, these Talon motors that have the controllers built into them. We also have CAN coders, which are the CTRE encoders that live on the CAN bus. And we also have a Pigeon, which is the gyroscope sensor. Now, one important detail on this particular robot is that it has a carnivore. And you can see that here on the tiles, it has a CAN bus label for each individual device. And some of them are on the Rio CAN bus, and some of them are on the carnivore CAN bus. The carnivore itself doesn't show up under devices, it's under a separate option, and it too has firmware that can be updated. And just like I showed with the motor controller previously, you can make the CAN coders and the Talon FXs blink as well. That's all I have for this video. As I said, the Phoenix Tuner X tool, it has a lot of power to it, a lot of features. There's a lot of things that you can do, but this is a basic understanding of that tool, and it shows you how to do some of the most common tasks like updating firmware, assigning IDs, and using the blink function to tell one device from another. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.